Hi everybody, let's get started. 20 minutes. I was really quite shocked about how much I learned about reviews and appeals when I started this. So I think there's 17 or 18 slides and quite a few live dems. So I'm just going to crack on, if I may. So we're doing reviews and appeals. And of course, there's those two. Sometimes appeals are called applications, and we're going to look at some of the other rules that work with them. So, for example, can you open an information request while a review is going on? What if you're doing an appeal? Can you still go back in and edit the review of that information request, and so on and so forth? And so this is the last and probably one of the most complex of the user parts of the courses. So we're going to be looking at how to create a review and an appeal on an information request. Just remind ourselves about the timescales and how the clocks work of those. And then there are various other bits and pieces, and because there was quite a lot of information on it, the public disclosure log we're doing next week anyway, so I've whipped that out, and also dashboards, breaches, DPIA, data assets. I've left that for later, as you can see here. These are the bits of vocabulary we're going to be familiarizing ourselves with on this little journey today. And I thought I'd kick off right away with a job on the demo system. So you'll note that if there is a review, internal or whatever, of the information request, we've got an information request here which is being clarified. So the applicant has been asked to clarify their request, and it's been running 11 days. And the reason for that is obviously, although it was started back in November and should have been done by now, they haven't come back and said whether they want blue lampposts or bananas or red lampposts or whatever. So they've now complained that it's been taking too long. And you'll note that obviously you can start that request, and just to remind ourselves, you can now no longer reopen the information request. So if I go back, when you first start on an information request, there's a little button here, which I'll show you on the live system, where you can reopen the a closed information request if you have the permissions. But in this situation, now that you're starting a review, you cannot. So off we go, we put in the date, and then that works out the number of days that you have left. And if I hit P back again, you'll notice that it's the 12th today, and I've set this, I think, for, what did I set it for, the 5th or the 6th or the 7th or something like that, so that it ignores the weekend and adds the 5 days that it's supposed to add. Notice at this point, you can't reopen the IR. And if we go a little bit further forward here, you'll notice that once we've created it, and we've said it's an internal review, there's a place to put some notes, and we can put in the notes to say what that review is, which we'll return to in a moment. Just to remind ourselves before I get on to the demo part of this, you'll be aware that there's a clock, and it's the same clock that measures the 20 days. And of course, it takes into account your bank holidays and weekends, as we mentioned. So I just thought I'd flip those up just to remind ourselves of those sessions that we did earlier. Now, you can decide as an admin, and we're going to be doing this when we look at the admin parts, the super user parts in future days, you can decide what types of reviews, complaints, appeals, and various other types. I think there's various other types coming along that you wish to deal with, and what the outcomes are. And this is an example of the reviews and outcomes of the demo system. But if we were to go to various other people, if I just go to the demo systems, you would see that they would have, if we were to go to, for example, select. If we were to go to Fife, for example, they would have different ones, and you will see that they have various different types, which are different to the ones on the PowerPoint slide. You can see these are the review outcomes that they've chosen, and you can see for complaints, you've got these types of complaints and these types of complaint outcomes. And likewise, when they have appeals, they have these types of appeals and so on. And if I was to look at Dudley or Edinburgh or somebody else, they would be different, because of course you can customize them according to your jurisdiction and how you want to do it. So on Chrome, I have a demo job which we created just this morning, as you can see. So this is a job for Angelina Jolie, a hard-working, rate-paying, show my age again there, community tax, whatever it's called nowadays, paying good burger of the town, has said they want to know how many blue buses and lorries you have. And they have been answered at some point in the past. This has been closed, and we have started a review, and we've taken it right the way through from review to a to an actual completed review, and so on and so forth. Now, what I'll do is I'm going to set that aside there, take another job and start one, so that we can compare whether or not you can open reviews, whether you can edit reviews at certain times, and so on. So here we go. I think on the dashboard of DemoShire, we have 10806. And in here, I've started a review, but as you know, I can delete it and just start again. So I was just having a little bit of a practice there. Now, when you have a review, it could be on an open or a closed. So I can create a new request, review or appeal on an open request. Now, in this section, I've certainly seen lots of situations like this where somebody has complained that it's taken too long to answer. And somebody might perceive it as being too long to answer because you're supposed to do 20 working days for this type of FOI request, how many lampposts. But if you sent clarification, obviously the clock would have stopped, and it would have stopped if you sent clarification on day 11 or day 9. Clearly that would have remained at 11 for ever and ever and ever until the person comes back and says, here's my clarification. You might also close it because there is no clarification, which would be a valid reason to close it. Now, that person could then come back and whinge about the whole thing. Before they do that, you can always open that information request and said, we sent in that we have 500 blue lampposts or whatever it was, and you can put that in the notes, you can put that in the actual resolution that you've sent to them, and you can put it in such a way also, you can word it obviously that it goes on the public disclosure log, so which we're going to be dealing with next week. If, however, they want it reviewed and they feel that it was done wrongly, they may come in and you might do an internal review. At that point, you'll notice this open information request, this thing where you can reopen the information request, that link will go. So I now say new review. What type of review? Let's say it's a review, and let's say it's an internal review. And remember, the options here will be determined by what you've put in, or what your system super user has put in your system for you. So start date, let's go back to, let's say they came up with this, I don't know, 7th as an example. I now save my review. I now have the option to either delete it or to change it. So off that goes. We can obviously save those changes. Notice it says 17 days because it will have whipped out the weekend and started on Friday. So now the close date could be shoved in. So let's say we close it same day and close the review. There we go. So now that it's closed, we can run up an appeal. We actually need an outcome. So let's say we set the outcome like that. Now, all of those outcomes are available on dashboards, which you can see, and reports similar to this if you have a department that specifically looks after reviews. And we'll be looking at dashboards for reviews and dashboards for breaches and so on when we look at the super user features of the system. Or you could just go in and you can have a report on those items which have reviews. Now, the idea here is that you can create obviously a new appeal, and you can carry on doing these things, creating appeals of appeals and so on, reviews of appeals. So let's say this appeal starts today. And as you know, whenever you click a date field, you can always pick a date. You get a date picker up. And it could be that the ICO or OSIC or whoever actually presents you with a date to finish. So so if I go the 15th of 02/2022, that might be an example of that. And let's say it is an ICO complaint. Save that. So I can now see that my clock is running and I can follow through on that. So it's very easy to set the times, deal with reviews, deal with complaints. We're finding maybe 1 in 20 across all of our customers, about 1 in 20 of these things, maybe 1 in 30 has some sort of review or complaint or audit trail that has to be followed on it. So I hope that's helped to run through the how-to. We've got a few minutes left. So depending on your jurisdiction, you'll have different rules as to whether you can open a request or a review. You can always open a review again, but in this particular diagram here that we did, I think there's only 1 or 2 people that have this specific workflow. Yours may be different, some of the yeses and nos may be different, but this person might want to add a new activity to an information request. If it's closed, then and if there's no review going, then you can't add. No, what am I talking about? You can add if the request is closed, is open, you can add a new activity. If the request is closed and there is a current review going on, then you can add an activity. But if there's no current review, then you can't add an activity. Now, different jurisdictions have different rules, as I mentioned. Once again, you'll notice you still can't open the information request while you're doing the appeal of the review. This example here is on the demo system where, again, some information was requested. It wasn't late, it was done very quickly, but this customer didn't agree with the number that they were given as an answer. They proved it, so they confirmed the original decision was part and substituted some information, and then the applicant is still asking for more information and so on. Now, the next thing I just wanted to cover in the last minute or so is audit trail. As you know, if you're doing an internal review and saying what's going wrong, why is this applicant having a problem, you can see all the dates and times that changes were made. And there is an enhancement to this system because we record all of the information also on every activity and on every review and appeal. However, I've just checked certainly the system, the demo system I'm looking at, and it doesn't show that information in this screen that you'll be familiar with from the bottom left-hand corner of your information requests. So we've got a job which is going to happen on Monday, which is this reference down here, and down here in the small print, you can see we're going to make sure that we add information about reviews and appeals into here. And also we've had a long-standing job to add information on the audit trail for activities, so you can see who changed what in activities as well, which will be very useful for those of you who delegate activities out to different department reps. So just a bit of housekeeping before we go. I'm absolutely delighted to say we got Cyber Essentials Plus yesterday, which was quite a journey, and we thankfully don't have to do that until the next quarterly review, and then we get audited next year in January for that once again. And lastly, thank you very much indeed for your time. Don't forget to mention us to other people, and because we can always do with the business. And of course, the more customers we get, the more features we can do.